So it turns out a different issue actually it is working. The issue was actually with the network or something like that. So let me retry again because I just opened a few seconds after I closed the live and it was actually open. So let me retry back again. Maybe one of the emulators were still open at the background. That's why it crashed. Usually it should not be crashing. So if one emulator is not actually closed down, it cannot open a second one. You need to close the emulator that you are running. So let me retry it back again and just let's try with the out itself. As you see, it is running. We get the configuration over here. So if I go to the Firestore and I put it global, so it will run again and it will put back link for us over here, which gonna be global. As you can see, there is difference between the local and the global, so we're gonna just copy this too. I have already a tester, so we can use the tester to see how it react actually with our servers. Let me just copy it from here. Now I have a tester server, so this is the tester. Before we start testing, I would like to demonstrate to you that some features. So this is our users. As you can see, we have a user tab, which allow us to filter user by active, non-active, newest, non-newest, oldest. So you can have users over here. You can add a user by yourself over here. The option is up to you actually. And by the way, the database are separate, so user credential are saved on a different folder than the other folders over here, than the other bases that you would have for more security. So they are really separate and hash coded. So as you can see, this is the Firestore section. You would have files and you're going to display here. You can add actually docs, you can add fields, you can create using auto create and it will create for you the doc. You can add fields inside here, same as Firebase, just you can describe array, object, boolean, number, string, or null. So you can delete actually just by doing this. You can edit the document and we'll add delete later on. We can go back. So if we went back over here, anyway, we'll look at this later on. So let me just remove this item. So just to explain that the database at the moment I'm still gonna add functions in button to delete. We may add them later on. So on to our database, as you can see, the things are hash coded. So I can delete them from here actually using the files, and they should be already gone from here. As you refresh, there should be nothing here left. So if you want to add a document, you're going to need to type its collection over here first and then add the documents inside. Or if you want to add a collection, just type its name and then add. If you have a path, it will be going through, but you're going to see how it look actually using the ASSD key. This is just manager where actually you manage your database. If you have something bugging inside your files, you can actually remove it and see it through here, or see it through your panel, but it will be easy to find it first here, what's not readable, and then go inside your folders and delete it. So then we have security tab where actually you can ban IP addresses based on countries, or you can ban countries, whatever you like actually. This is just an example. I'm not actually banding nothing, but I'm just showing you what you're gonna have as futures. You can band a single person or a single IP address. For example, you have already identified a hacker. Someone tried to hack to your database. The link will change after 1 hour, but you have already know what's happening on because you have the logs over here. Any attempts, anything suspicious, the system will notify you straightforward. So you have the IP address. You want to make their job next time a bit harder, so you're just gonna block their IP address. Therefore, nothing would be coming to your server even if they attempt. That IP address is already blocked. So we're gonna go to the storage section. This is where you can add storages, file, image, whatever type, like Firestore storage, and you can manage them also from here. You can add folder, and as you can see, we have over here a nice layout where actually you can choose whatever you want: hide, show, display. It accesses only the information needed: photo, image, and so on. So cancel, and now let's do a test. So Firestore is empty, outs they're empty. So for the outs, I made it async. So if an account, because in Firestore they are not async 100%. So an account, you need always to refresh the screen. Over here, you would not need to refresh the screen much often. So it's automatically, once someone is added, it's automatically adding it. So let's do a test. Okay, yeah, because I hadn't added the links. So if you get errors like this, just know that there is a part is missing that we didn't do. So let's remove this to URL because they are old from old emulator testing. So now this is our new configuration that we took from here. So let's, as you can see, once config true, they are true. So if we go to the out, you see the user is already here. It says it's active because it just logged in. We can see what's his recent logs. So he just signed up, created an account, and that's it. Whatever activity would be done to the server from this user would be you will have a log of it over here. You can customize, you can actually update the password manually through here. You can ban the user and you can delete. So let's go to Firestore. Right now, Firestore, you just need to refresh. You will get users, inside users the field, and inside field the data. This data is from the testing server. It's not actually added when the user is created. If you remember, I told you that the out credential and the Firestore are separate. So you can actually customize whatever you want as creation. For me, this is just a test to show you that things are working same as Firebase. Uh, so if you see over here, this is the data that we got over here. So target, JSON, edit, dev. So and no, as I told you, the logs over here will show you all the activity done by any user. Describe to you the email where you actually can just look their ID. For example, this is their ID over here. So the ID would be changed, don't worry. You can use their UID, which is user. For example, let's use this one, and let's say I want to look for this user. All users active and newest. I'll be adding the UID because the UID is located inside the folder, so it's a bit complex, a bit would go, but don't worry, I'll be adding it, and I'll be showing you everything at the end. I'm trying just to finish everything and make it proper after testing and everything, and then when we're gonna go to the part of coding it, you're gonna be having a full functional things. So now we're gonna give a look at our SDK because we have an SDK also built, as I said to you, which we're gonna be using. This is our SDK, and the SDK. So Okay, this is yeah, this is our SDK. I know, cancel. Let's open it in Visual Studio Code. So to open it in Visual Studio, you can always like use the Shift button and then click Options, the mouse. This your let me just get it right. Your right mouse click, and then it's gonna give you option, and then you can select open with VS Code, and it will open for you this file with VS Code. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you can actually use Control L, which is a shortcut that gets your pointer to this input, and any input actually, not just the Explorer. Actually, you can use it even in for example, in Google, for example, if you want to write, you don't want to use the mouse to go to this over here, you're just gonna click Control L, and it's gonna automatically land you over here to write straightforward. So we you can Control L, and then over here you're just gonna write CMD. It's gonna open for you a terminal. Inside the terminal, just write codes space dot, meaning running this folder. This is the dot is referring to this folder. Code refer to VS Code compiler. So once you're gonna click enter, it should run this folder, which is the dot, into VS Code, which is here. Then you're just gonna do close CLS, meaning clean, which is they put it as close, and then to close the terminal you're just gonna write exit. Sorry, once you do exit, it's gone. Now we have our SDK, so we're gonna give it a look to the SDK. Don't go to the dust. The dust is the build actually. So when you go to the dust, you're gonna find files like this. It looks scary actually. You're like, what? I'll be writing all this. No, actually not. The way it works, there is a compiler which compile for you the file into the dust. So whenever you're gonna have an app, whatever the type, Node.js, and you see a dust file, acknowledge that the dust file is the build, but the source is always this one. So if you want to check any code, you need to check the source. And at the end, you need always to update the source if you make any changes into the source folder, so the dust can get those updates. So inside here we have created an index for the app index, and we have highlighted all those indexes through the main index into the source itself. So when you are reaching to the package, it goes straight to this index, which inside of it highlight that there's imports of index of app, out, and so on, which you can use and call into your app. I have installed it manually, so whenever you create a package and you want to install, for example, this package in local, you don't have it in the GitHub yet, and you don't have it yet in the npm center. So if you want to install the package and you got it downloaded, you will need actually to go where you want to install it, and same as you gonna be installing a package, for example using yarn add or using npm I or install, which is I refer to install. So for example I install, install, and then you refer to the package location. For example, I have this package inside here, so I'll grab its location in my computer and I can install it here. And once I click install, it should be pop in dependency. Do not copy the file straightforward to your Node.js model, because it would not work. So make sure that you install the packages that way. So before we're gonna dive in code, so I'm gonna take quick break for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and after that we will get back to start coding. We will start actually not by the SDK, because you cannot build the SDK first. You will need actually, you cannot build the emulator. You will not need, sorry, you will not build the SDK first, but you need the emulator first, because the emulators are the source of the SDK. So I'll be seeing you in a bit. Grab your coffee,